Hi, Mark. This is Leona.
Hey, Leona, how you doing?
I'm great.
All righty. So, um, first of all, it is 7 p.m. Welcome everyone to Onyx Equities Group Zoom call. We are going to go over a few items today about some new opportunities. Um, One being Grab, and then an update on the Impossible Foods, and then some other opportunities that have presented itself. Mr. Christian will detail to us just a little bit, because I know we have some new folks on the call. Onyx Equities Group was started February 2019. We are a LLC company here in Maryland. The premise behind Onyx Equities Group is group collaboration and trying to learn about investing. We have a keen interest in trying to invest in private equity, and that's in those actual type of companies that we hear about, like Airbnb, Lyft, Uber, Pinterest, Impossible Foods. We try to get into these actual companies on the private equity side before the companies go public, thereby trying to maximize our return on investment. We are transparent companies, very easy to join Onyx Equities Group. There's 3 forms you tend to fill out and $100 a year admin fee. We don't put any type of pressure on anybody. You are allowed to get into any deal that you see fit that you need to get into. So with that being said, we'll have a part of this where you can freely ask any questions. We like this to be very interactive. We're just here presenting the information. I put into the chat group our YouTube channel, and you can kind of go out there and view videos as well on what Onyx Equities Group is doing. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Christian Sullivan of Straight Path Ventures. They're one company that we partner with that have many deals and opportunities on, like the private equity side for us to get into. And I'll let him explain about the upcoming opportunities. Okay, Christian.
Thanks, Mark. Good evening, everyone. It's nice to see a few familiar faces from the last call. I will give an update to begin on the Impossible Foods because a lot has been going on with them, and you guys are already invested into Impossible Foods. Now, Impossible Foods has been expanding into different countries, Canada, Asia. They're waiting on China, Europe, and as a result, the valuation is increasing significantly. Now, we actually, you guys are invested at $35 per share, which is around a $6 billion valuation of the company. They're looking around an $18 to $20 billion IPO, which right now we see a lot of movement on their board of directors. We see them tampering, adding a female member to the board of directors, which is important because that is a new California regulation for any publicly listed company to have a diversified group, including one female member. So what we started to see in 2020 was a lot of these companies start, as soon as they start tampering with the board of directors, especially checking off that female requirement, shortly after we saw an IPO. So I think Impossible Foods, and we think over here, Impossible Foods is going to be a lot sooner than even anticipated originally. We also went out today and looked for a new bid of stock as our allocation is running low. And the good news is the next round of funding is actually in the high 40s, around $48 a share. You guys are in a earlier round at $35, so we're sitting pretty good with that. Now, tonight's meeting was also scheduled for Grab Holdings, which I want to talk about because Grab is in a late stage. As you can see, if you type them in on Google right now, you'll see an abundance of articles regarding their IPO. Now, they're a super app which combines all the features of PayPal, Grubhub, Uber Eats. They have a banking license now, so they combine all that into one collective space. They're headquartered in Singapore, and the cool thing about the Southeast Asian market is there's no monopoly laws out there. So they're pretty much sitting in the driver's seat where they're able to go ahead and corner that market. Now, they serve more than 200 million users, and they're looking to raise about $2 billion from their IPO, which would serve as the largest overseas IPO from an Asian company. Now, I don't want to harp on them too much because right now we're in the situation where as soon as the news starts hitting the media, and as of this morning, they already started to go ahead and pick their underwriters. When that happens, you know, that's when the stock becomes kind of not easily as available, and we can't get our hands on too many shares. So right now we're in the process of going out there and seeing, you know, share count on how many shares we could either allocate to investors or if there are any shares out there available. And the goal here with private equity is not to be reactive to the news, it's to be proactive and go out there and get involved before the news hits the mainstream media. So I will keep you guys posted with that. They are at $9.10 a share. And honestly, looking at the numbers, I think we're looking about a double from where they're going to IPO, which is great. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think that's what I'm really here for. Here at Straight Path, we go out there and look to achieve anywhere from a 300% to 500% return on these investments. Look at Palantir Technologies. Our clients got in anywhere from 6 to 8. Today hit a high of $39. Airbnb from 45 to 67.5, sitting about 180. So we're looking really to go out there and achieve 2, 3, 4, 500% on a return, because we're in a market where you can go out there and kind of pick any publicly traded stock and achieve 100% in a month or two time frame. So Grab is a great company.
Just real quickly,
sure thing.
if I could hop in for, just a quick second, Christian, just to explain to the OEG members, especially those that are new. One of our focus, like I said, our main focus is private equity. So as Christian kind of said, that comes in many different stages. We are focused more so on late stage private equity. With that, sometimes we get caught in this wave where news comes out from these privately held companies that tend to force our hand to either react quickly, or it tends to drive a lot of people into that marketplace, and then shares tend to get lean on the actual type of secondary market. There's a video that I have out there on our YouTube channel that kind of goes over like the various stages of private equity. You have your angel investors, you have kind of like your series A, B, C, D, and E rounds where they kind of try to raise more funds for the actual for like the actual type of company. And then you have the liquidation event, which is the IPO, in which they also are trying to raise more funds for as well. So I want our group to be aware. We try to target late stage because we don't want to hold our money, because when you are very early on, your money can be held for years upon years until they get to a liquidation event. But just bear in mind, sometimes news forces the hand, and we can sometimes get into some of these deals and sometimes not. It just depends. So that's why we have to be agile. We have to keep our accounts up to date and funded so that we can react fastly to some of this news. Same thing happened with SoFi. By the time we kind of got on board, the news had came out that they were going with a SPAC, and that SPAC is already traded as IPOE. So it didn't make a lot of sense for us to kind of get in after the fact. Okay, Christian.
Yeah, no, definitely. That makes a good point. And that is what we do over here. We target the late stage because obviously we don't want to tie up investors' money and the fund's money years at end. So we definitely try to narrow down that time frame, and it does get tricky when the news starts hitting that mainstream media. But with that said, there are two companies I want to talk about tonight, which I think serve as the next best opportunities, to start chasing after, where we're not handcuffed because there hasn't been that news that hit the mainstream media. However, they are very close to their IPOs. One of them is Rubrik, which is a cloud data management company similar to a Snowflake. Another one is Just Incorporated, which is a plant-based company that focuses on the plant-based egg market. So I'll touch base on Rubrik a little bit because this is kind of the one that I've been spending a lot of my time on, and I think it serves as a great opportunity because the ceiling with this cloud sector as a whole is extremely high right now, being that they trade off of extremely high multiples, and the cloud sector as a whole is really in demand. So Rubrik, without further ado, was founded by ex-executives from Facebook, IBM, Google, Oracle, so on and so forth, back in 2014. Over the last couple of years, they quickly became a multi-billion-dollar company, and they serve over 2,700 clients, as well as 70% of Fortune 100 companies as their clients, companies like Verizon, Cisco, Home Depot, Allstate, just to name a few. Now, what this company does in kind of the simplest of terms, because they are very robust and disruptive, they make it very easy to go ahead and back up data all in the cloud, and they run their services directly over pre-existing software that these companies are using. So they pretty much bring together all of backup software and backup storage into one disparate place. Now, speaking on the numbers with this company, right now they're doing about $600 million in revenue a year, which is identical to Snowflake. Now, I want to talk on Snowflake a little bit because they just IPO'd, and I'm sure everybody got a chance to watch their performance on their IPO. Snowflake went out there and their listing price for an IPO was $120 a share. And the first tick of the stock after all the institutions put their bid in was $245 a share. And it traded as high as $429. It's currently sitting a little below $300, which showed for pre-IPO investors over 1,000% return from where they got involved at. So Rubrik is a company that we see, speaking from the numbers standpoint, the same exact type of return potential, being that we own them at a $3.9 billion valuation, which equates to $33 a share, which is 7 times multiple on their current revenue. So we're talking with this company when they IPO, conservatively speaking, around a $40 billion company when they begin trading. Now, Just Egg is the other company which I wanted to touch base on, and they are a plant-based company similar to Impossible Foods. However, their main product is the egg, and they actually control 99% of the plant-based egg industry, which saw a 194% increase in sales throughout 2020. They sold the equivalent of 50 million cartons of eggs, and we have this company at a $1.2 billion valuation, which is $20 a share, and they currently just closed out a round of funding, a $200 million round of funding at a $2 billion valuation. So this is one of those companies where, and opportunities where you could actually get involved knowing that before the ink even dries on your check, we're looking about an 80% increase from the last round of funding.
Christian, just a quick question. Just to hop back to Rubric, what is the valuation on that?
3.9 billion is what we own them at.
Okay, and so that would be how much a share?
$33 per share.
$33 a share, and you have those shares in-house now?
Yes, yes.
All right, so we could pick those shares up. What is, kind of like the minimum lot on that?
I haven't, it usually sits around 25, 25,000.
Okay.
Which
20
I
to
believe is
25K?
around,
Okay.
yeah, it's around 750 shares, give or take, for Rubric.
Okay. All right, and I just as a quick point in here, I know that there's folks on the call because most of the guys and girls on this call are folks that are actual colleagues of myself. We work in a certain area, and we actually have knowledge of Rubric and actually have their product. So
Nice.
it is a good product, and it's something that I can attest to from a actual technical standpoint that it is actually a good type of product there.
So I'm going to chime in real quick, Mark. This is Quinn speaking.
Hey, Quinn.
So I actually have never heard of Rubric before, but it's based on the the 5 bullet points of information we got. It seems pretty interesting. So Mark, you're saying that it is being used by the federal government, at least? I mean, that's the best vetting that you can get, really. Yeah.
So it has been approved and it is being used within like the Intel community.
Well, that's about the best sign you could get, really, in terms of like, is it a legit opportunity or not,
Yeah, absolutely. So, and again, just for like the members, even though kind of like the minimum lot is 25K, it's not like we're asking individuals to come up with 25K. This is the whole premise behind Onyx Equity Group. We're pooling resources together so that not one person has to come out with the outlay of like the large funds themselves. But of course, we always strive to meet, like the minimum and then some. Okay. So Christian, you were talking about the egg.
Yes, Just Incorporated. So they, like I said, another plant-based company. They focus on that egg, and the plant-based industry as a whole obviously is a disruptive industry right now. We're seeing a lot of companies trickle in after Beyond Meat. So this is one we're excited about because of really their growth rates and where they're heading, and also the product as a whole has great reviews from a lot of individuals that are vegan. And from my understanding, I have tried it before, as well as I tried Impossible Foods, Beyond Meat. And I mean, personally, I'm a meat and potatoes guy, but I do see the opportunity for the plant-based sector as a whole in the coming years, where they're going out there and targeting in terms of meat over $1 trillion market, where they could actually go out there and grab a % of that market, where right now plant-based meat products are only about a $30 billion market, where over the next couple of years, analysts has the market as a whole predicted to be anywhere from 250 to 300 billion out there in the market. So the growth from now to then is what we're looking at in terms of these plant-based meat products.
Okay, great. So, and again, you have that at 1.2.
Yep, 1.2, which is $20 even.
$20 a share, and you have that in-house now too.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and they both of these companies, like I said, we're being more proactive rather than reactive, and just because we're going out there and getting involved before the news has hit the media doesn't mean their IPOs aren't, within the next couple of months, because both of the CEOs of both Just Inc. and Rubric have actually stated in October, November, and December of last year their plans for a 2021 IPO. And Rubrik has actually set a governance structure around their company where they are pretty much ready to go public at any given time. And in terms of cloud companies, right now for their IPOs, they're getting top dollar. And that's because of COVID-19 pretty much accelerating the way businesses operate. Everyone's transitioning to the cloud. So this was previously an industry that was growing, 5% year in and year out. And now it's accelerated by, in my opinion, a couple of years just throughout the last 12 months because of what's going on with the pandemic.
Okay. So good information. Does anyone have any questions that they would like to ask Mr. Christian since he's on the line? So as far as mechanics of how we get involved in this, it's pretty much the same way we did with Forte. There's an actual type of subscription agreement or indication of interest. I get that form from Christian. I let him know what people pledge internally with OEG. I give him that number, and then Straight Path Ventures in turns makes up the subscription agreement and sends that to us. So from a member perspective, you must ensure that your accounts are funded. Everyone should have access to the portal if you're a current member. If you want to become a member, just reach out to us. You can go to our website, which is www.oeg-llc.com. You can send us an email. We will get back to you to get you the forms to e-sign and then open up an account for you. So Christian, just to try to circle back on like the actual type of Grab, because I know Grab kind of caught everybody's attention. Since they've already announced that they're going with like the underwriting of Morgan Stanley for like the IPO, is there any chance for us to get any share still in like the private market?
Yeah, so that's what we're trying to figure out right now internally, whether we can go out there and purchase more shares, whether it's slightly higher or at the same price, or whether between the underwriters and Grab, they're deciding to go out there and close all outstanding contracts. So we should have an answer, within the next 24 to 48 hours if we're able to go out and grab more shares. Unfortunately, that was a situation where I know the news came out last week, and I did think we had a larger window. And then, you wake up Monday morning and they decide to pick their underwriters, and it looks like they're ready to accelerate their IPO plans.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a question. I was cooking during most of the so I might have missed it if you said it, but what was Rubrik's timeline to IPO?
We believe it could be as soon as sometime within the next 6 months.
Okay.
There hasn't been a definite time frame, but from the CEO's mouth, the last quarter of 2020, he was looking to go ahead and accelerate his IPO as well.
Gotcha. And then what was the valuation that we could get in on?
3.9 billion.
Oh wow. Okay. Perfect.
It's a 7x multiple to their current revenue.
So also, Quinn, that equates to $33 a share that we would be trying to purchase it at on like the private market.
Gotcha. And it's 7 times multiple revenue?
Yes.
Gotcha.
I have a quick question. Is there a minimum to the rubric that will be purchased as a whole, as a group? Is there a minimum like the 25,000 for?
Right. Yes. So as a group, it's a min of the actual type of 25K. that we would have to come in as a group. So
Okay.
I typically try not to set, like internal type of minimums. I will do that based upon the interest that we have. So say, for instance, Kim, we have 10 people off the back that want to get into it. And then we know we have to come up with, actual type of 25K min. Depending on that interest and what people pledge, either we may have to set, kind of like a minimum, or we may not have to set, kind of like a minimum in order to reach, kind of like the minimum that we have to Straight Path.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yep, no problem. So just as FYI, we have a 9-minute and 42 second countdown to the end of the call. So have any questions, feel free to chime in.
Hey,
Well,
sorry.
oh, go, I'll go ahead. I was just gonna say, on that one email, there was something about that Grab company, that like Chinese DoorDash or Japanese or whatever, the delivery company. Is there any news about that?
Any news about that, you said?
Yeah. Or did you
Yeah.
talk about it? I might have missed that too.
We actually did speak about that at the beginning, Quinn. So
Okay.
I'm actually recording this, so it will be up on kind of like the YouTube channel.
Okay, perfect.
But
I'll
just
go back and watch it.
yeah, but just real quickly, Grab came out. Well, Mr. Christian, go ahead and explain it real quickly, because you probably do, kind of like a better job than I will.
Yeah, sure thing. So last week, Grab announced, there was, in the beginning of last week, they came out and there was several dozen articles that came out and kind of leaked their plans for a 2021 IPO, which is really the first step to when you could kind of foreshadow when a company is going to go public. And then this morning, actually, they appointed JP Morgan and Morgan Stanley as their underwriters, which is that next step. So yeah, they're in the process of pretty much just filing everything.
So we're a little too late on that one.
We may be, but we may not be.
Gotcha.
I'm going to see if we can get more shares, and if we could, that's definitely a good opportunity as well.
Gotcha. I was just wondering, I missed when you said something about that, so my bad. But I think the Rubric and that Just Egg company are probably better opportunities anyways.
I agree in the in the sense of the ceiling and in the sense of where they could go from the valuations that we have in that.
Definitely, yeah. All right, thanks.
No problem.
Anyone else?
I had a quick question on the blocks that you buy. So if you buy, say, let's just use a quick number, the 25,000 block, and let's just say 5 of us say, okay, we're going to all put up $5,000. What do you do if the block doesn't hit another 25? Is it first come, first serve? How does that work?
Yes, so all of our offerings are first come, first serve. So whatever we have in inventory is what we sell. We don't over allocate, and we don't take what's called an indication of interest. So we sell only what's in inventory. So whenever the funds come in and are received by us, you will be attached to that block of stock.
Okay.
So good question, Richard, and that's a key difference between Straight Path and how Forte Capital did their investments. And that's, again, part of my job as managing partner of OEG is to kind of go out here and find what's the best pathway for us to travel. Not to say that Forte Capital didn't have some good products and some good opportunities, because they did, because we got involved with them. But sometimes, fees can be high on the front and the back end. Sometimes they took, like an indication of interest. So we weren't necessarily the shares weren't already procured and bought by them. Whereas Straight Path, there is no upfront fee, but there's, kind of like a 20% on like the profit on the back end. I said that right, Christian, correct?
Yep.
Okay. So these are things that we always try to look for and try to find the best avenue for us to try like to maximize our investment.
Okay.
All right, folks. Well, I will be sending out an update. I'll stay in close contact with Christian. I will send out an email. We should get 2 emails. Okay. It's going to be, the first email is going to go out for indication of interest internally from OEG on the 2 deals that Mr. Christian spoke about, Rubric and Just Incorporated. Those are the 2 new opportunities. So I need folks to respond back to the email with how much they pledge. And then if you don't have your accounts funded with that, please get the funding in. And then we'll follow back up. We'll stay in close contact with Mr. Christian and follow back up on like the grab opportunity, just to see if there is a way for us to get a little nibble of that, because I still think that's a good opportunity as well. And then as things start to come out, our goal again is still late stage, but kind of getting in before any major announcements come out, so that we can ensure that we get, you know, kind of like a taste of the pie here. All righty. If there's no other questions, I thank everyone for coming out. We had a nice turnout this evening, and this will be up on the YouTube channel, so you can always review it. As I say in my other type of videos, stay healthy, stay safe, stay blessed. Thank everyone for coming.
All right.
Have a
Thank you,
great
Mark.
night.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Mark. Have a good one.
Thanks, guys.
No problem. Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you.
All right.